On August 31st, 2025, I uploaded this video attempting to cover every TCG that's in English and still in print and is an actual TCG. Spoilers, I failed. There's a part 2 in the works, but that isn't important. What is important is that in this video, I covered a card game called Roundtable, published by Nimue Studios. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. If I'm not, then you're going to hear it wrong a lot throughout this video. Now, specifically, it ran right here, from about the 24-minute mark to about the 29-minute mark. This is a 3-hour-long video, and I couldn't cover every TCG for half an hour apiece. So despite the short runtime, it was still enough for people to pick up on something. Specifically, the first one here, Magnolium4409, who said, the Roundtable TCG unfortunately has AI art. Now, on this channel, I cover a lot of things. I do things from AliExpress, handmade things from Etsy. I've grown used to people calling AI on things that are actually not AI and have very talented artists behind them, but people just see art and they're like, that's AI, and I'm very accustomed to the false AI allegation. So incorrectly, when I first saw this comment, I figured that would be the case here as well. In case you're curious, here was my my reply to that comment. So before we dig deeper into this, I just want to mention, this is not the kind of video that I normally do. So I found it best, based on my workflow, to kind of go through this story in the order of what I uncovered for the most part. There is a lot to cover here, but I don't want this video to drag out for longer than it needs to be. So forgive me if the video structure isn't the best. I open Pokemon cards for a living, bear with me. So, of course, the first place I went was their Kickstarter. If you go here to the comment section, you can actually see in some cases if someone removes their pledge, their comment will be removed. So we can see there's a removed comment here and then a reply, right? Well, this first one very much interested me. Someone canceled their pledge, and Nimue Innovation Studios responded, we have a lot of art from regular artists, probably 25% at present. My hope is to replace all of the art with non-placeholder art, but it's been challenging. Our website, nimuestudios.com, has a couple of posts about our search for art. Okay, well, placeholder art doesn't necessarily mean AI, but not a good sign either. Gotta turn off this white light, I almost look like pink. I'm working on camera updates, don't judge me. So here is their wiki. Now, if you look through here, the wiki doesn't really have a whole lot going on. Mostly, you can click like here on Nights, and oh, luckily, I downloaded offline backups of all of this. So for example, here is page 1 of all of their cards. This is a backup, so I don't think it'll work if I click on one of those. Yeah, okay, I had a feeling. But long story short, they feature scans of all of their cards on here. So let's take a look at a few of their cards. First off, this here is Akka, which is a knight. I'm probably saying that wrong too. If you look down here at the bottom right, you can see that the artist is credited as Nyx Aurelia. However, if we compare that to the Arthur card right here, there's no credit at all. I mean, let's be honest, it looks kind of like AI. So I decided to go a little bit deeper. I downloaded images for 63 of their cards. Now, I did make sure to get at least 10 cards of each one of the categories that you saw there on the wiki. But aside from that, I went in random order. There's no selection process on which ones I picked, just a minimum of 10 of each type. So we're actually going to use this Arthur card here to kind of go over the testing methodology that I decided to go with. Now, firstly, if I was to upload this image to an AI checker, it's going to be thrown off by a lot of the bottom half of the card here, all the text, all of the, you know, like background for the title and all that. So I made this version of all 63 cards where I cut out everything but the artwork for the most part. You still have this over here, but it's enough that it shouldn't throw off the AI. So I ran this exact image through 3 different AI generation detection softwares, specifically Dcopy, IsGen.ai, and SiteEngine. This is extremely important. If I were to just use one AI detection software, we would likely see false positives or even false negatives. But by using 3, I can take the percentage that each of them gives us for the likelihood of AI generation, add them up, divide by 3, and get a total AI likelihood percentage using just more than just one source. So here is the report that Dcopy gave us, which says 100% AI probability. Now I should note that Dcopy certificates, as they call this, tend to break sometimes, like you can see here, where probability there is missing the Y. However, that does just seem to be formatting issues with the PDFs that they generate, but the info on the site itself doesn't have those issues. So IsGen is a little bit interesting. There's no kind of report given, it just gives you a percentage. So all I did for all of these cards is I just made a text document with the percentage that it gave. So IsGen gave it a 100% AI probability as well. Then lastly, we have Site Engine, which gave it a 99%, and also Site Engine tries to tell you what it was used to generate it, and it believes in this case it was likely Stable Diffusion. So running the numbers on this, between all three of the AI generation detections, it gave us a 99.66% chance of being AI generated. Okay, so that is the testing methodology. So now we can go over the total results of my testing, ending with one notable outlier. Then we can move on to some more interesting facts that I was able to gather outside of just the testing. So I split all of the cards into two different categories, as you can see here. We have those that credited the artists and those that did not. So starting off with the attribution cards, I tested 32. Now, it is worth noting that because of my rule of getting at least 10 cards from every category, the total number of cards here is actually overrepresented due to the region cards all being created by the same artist with an exclusion of one. Now, if you look at the end of the folder names here, you can see the percentage that it was given, and most of these were given low percent, which means low likelihood of AI generation. So just as an example, this was given a 0.66% chance between all three of the engines. Now, there was an interesting standout right here. This card, Once More with Feeling. Now, it also got just a 0.66% chance of AI generation. However, the artwork here felt really familiar to me. Well, that's because this piece is actually a recreation of another one. So right here is The Lute Player by Franz Hals, which was painted in 1923. 1623, not 19. However, this right here, Young Man Playing the Lute, was from the same year as it came from the same, what's the word that they use? It is a period copy of the same subject. But of course, if you were to know any version of this image, it would be the one by Franz Hals here, which is more well known. Now, in total, I found 5 cards just like this one that used images from historical figures. So on this card, the Queen's Knight, well, this is originally an art piece called The Accolade by Edmund Leighton in 1901. Unfortunately, I did fail to back up all of their cards, and their wiki does still seem to be down, oddly timed. But here we have the Wild Hunt of Odin, which they featured on their card, The Wild Hunt. Then again, they had another card called the Dullahan, which takes this artwork right here. Again, future editor me can put the actual card images on screen if I can find them. And then lastly, we have this piece right here, which is used on the card Knight of the Grail Temple. They also mirrored it and obviously greatly cropped it down for this, but that just made it a little bit harder for me to track it down. This was actually part of a whole collection of art pieces, which was done for the Holy Grail Tapestries, which you can see a collection of everything here, including that. While I could see some people having an issue with them using these images, I personally don't. I think it adds a nice touch to the theme that they're going for. I think it would be a cooler idea if they used these historical public works as alternate arts, right? So you could get their rendition of the card, or as an alt art, you can get this card that uses this actually historical art on it. I think it would make it a lot cooler as like a rare pull. But we're going off track now. Now, let's take a look at some of the region cards. Each of these is credited to Jeannie Battista. I might be saying things wrong here again. And they all just feature a map on every one. Now, IsGen and Site Engine rated all of these very low, generally 0 to 2% chance of AI. However, Dcopy gave nearly all of them super high ratings, around 90%. Personally, I don't think AI was used here, but I could easily be wrong. If I was, I have to assume that the background could be AI generated, then that the text was added by hand. However, in a lot of Dcopy's reports, it does specifically call out the number of different fonts as an example of the use of AI. Again, I think that the different fonts was just an artistic choice that kind of threw things off. I'm not an expert, make your own call here. Now, all of that takes us to the non-attribution cards, or cards with no artist credit. Here, we can see another region card, Camelot. This is the only region card that is not credited to Genie. And, what do you know, it scored a 97.33% of being AI generated. I'm not sure why they wouldn't just have Genie do this one too. I'm assuming that no AI was used on the others, so why would they not have her also make this card. My guess is that they wanted to make Camelot feel special, but they couldn't find an artist to do that. And for some reason, they thought AI generating it would be better than just having Genie make another map. Weird. Now, out of all of the cards that had no artist credit, the lowest ranking one, as in the most likely chance of not being AI, was this one right here, Excalibur. It had a 33.66% chance of being AI. This one felt like a big outlier to me, so I dug a bit deeper, and as it turns out, this is a royalty-free stock photo. Now, understand that doesn't mean that it's necessarily monetarily free. They likely still had to pay for the image, but they don't have to credit the original artist. Now, this is the site that I found it on, and right here is the artist credited to this. They actually have a lot of different images in this exact vein. What I don't understand is why they wouldn't still just credit the artist. I get that they don't have to, but why not? Why not let your players look into an artist that they like? This was just a weird choice to me. Especially because it looks like their whole idea of placeholder cards is that you can identify them by cards that don't have artist credit. But this one doesn't seem to be AI generated. Now, there could be other examples of stock photos being used on cards, but I couldn't find any more. It doesn't mean that there aren't more of them, though. So, out of all of the cards without artist credit, the one that had the least chance of being AI was Excalibur, 33.66%. So, what is the second lowest? Well, that goes here to the Fey Flail. With the second lowest chance of being AI generated, it was 61.33%. Now, if I had to guess, the plain green backdrop did a lot of legwork here on throwing off AI detection on this one, but who knows, maybe it wasn't actually AI. In that case, where's the artist credit? Then, third place. The third least likely AI-generated card was Camelot at 97.33%. No joke, 97% out of the 30-something cards that I did here without artist credit on here was 97% chance of AI detection. In total, for cards that had artists credited, the average is 14% chance of AI. And for cards with no artist credit, the average is 95.08% chance of AI generation. To put it simply, if there is no artist credited, then it's very likely an AI generated image. But that doesn't mean that you are safe with credited cards either. This is where things get a little bit more spicy. So let's have a look at this card right here. I'm not going to try and pronounce its name, which was credited to Noah Gus. I don't know how to say that last name either. To me, this card screams AI, just like all the other ones that don't have credit, if in a little bit of a different style. Dcopy gave this a 74% chance of being AI, IsGen gave it a 100% chance, and SiteEngine gave it a 99%, with an average of a 91% chance that this was AI generated, despite having an artist credit. So I did a search. What other cards are credited to Noah? This one. This is it. Now, it's not entirely unusual for a card game to have artwork by, one artist doing like one or two images. That's not super unusual. It's a bit less common in these like indie card games. But Noah really stands out here. Again, their wiki is still down, but I have offline backups. Right here in their core team, they have a total of 8 people listed, with one of those people being Noah, the legendariest. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. So, an employee of Nimue Studios made the artwork for this card, which is rated at 91% chance of AI. I wonder if Bill DeVoe, the founder and president of Nimue Studios, knows about that. Okay, so these are just placeholder images. I don't get what the big deal is. It's not like they're going to sell them to you. They're just here to represent what they're going to be when they go to production, right? Definitely. They would never sell you AI art, their placeholders, correct? This is Thomas. Thomas has no credited artist. Thomas has a 99.66% chance of being AI generated. Thomas was not the only placeholder card in the pack that I opened. They are printing and selling these placeholder cards. I think we have very different definitions of what placeholder is supposed to mean. Okay, and look, I get it. You don't have artwork for all of your cards. I understand. just squiggle something. Literally, just squiggle something. I would personally appreciate that far more. It's like those game stores that draw artwork onto boxes and cases that are missing artwork, or their covers are torn, and somebody goes through and they kind of draw in what was supposed to be there. It's kind of funny. It's a cute little thing that would come off as endearing. And as Movie Studios, as you saw on their Kickstarter earlier, is actively looking for artists that would help get their point across. If it was like a white background with this like a little doodle on it, right? Showing, hey, this is not finalized artwork, but your artwork could be here on this card. Instead, they are selling their fans AI slop. Now, I took a look at every single card on their wiki. This was done by hand, and I'm sure that I made a mistake at one point or another. But from my count, there were 86 cards that had artist credit and 115 that don't. That means that approximately 57.2% of cards are likely to be AI generated, and that's not even taking into account that some cards that had an artist credit might also be AI generated. Okay, we're finally done looking at the cards. Let's look elsewhere. Now, personally, if they disclosed the use of AI up front, I wouldn't care. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't give them any of my money, but I wouldn't be making this video either. Now, I looked everywhere for AI disclosure. Right here, on the pack that I opened in this video, none. How about on their official eBay page? No AI disclosure. On their personal website, maybe? No. On their wiki, which is currently down? No. How about on their Square site, where they also sell you packs instead of just on eBay? No. It is completely undisclosed. Now, I can find a few mentions of placeholder art. Of course, you could see it on that reply on Kickstarter. There's also this article here on their site where they also mention placeholder art here towards the bottom of the article on how to submit art for Roundtable. But how about specifically AI? Has Bill DeVoe, the founder of this card game, or Roundtable themselves, the movie studios, ever used the word AI? Have they ever put those two letters together anywhere? Well, actually, yes. April 24th, 2023, Movie Studios at Gen Con 2023. So they started the sentence with the word and we definitely want to get visibility to the community at large to replace the very large amount of AI generated art we have with art from real people. This is it. This is the one time. The movie, if you're going to sell AI art to people, then it should be disclosed. The artwork is one of the most important parts of a card game, especially to collectors like myself. There is no excuse to not disclose the use of AI up front before purchase, not buried in one time in an article from 2023. So about that whole disclosure thing, what does Kickstarter have to say about AI disclosure? Well, here on August 1st, 2023, Kickstarter announced their upcoming AI policy. The TLDR version of this is that you must disclose the use of AI on any Kickstarter project. That policy would go into effect on August 29th, 2023. So we got them, right? They broke Kickstarter policy! Well, no. See, this policy isn't retroactive. So long as you launched your Kickstarter before August 29th, 2023, then you don't have to comply. The Roundtable Kickstarter was launched on August 3rd, 2023, 2 days after this announcement right here. Now, I wouldn't blame you for thinking, oh, they saw this policy was coming and rushed to get their Kickstarter out in 2 days so they wouldn't have to follow the policy. Well, no, that is not what happened. This is actually just a very lucky break for them. So in this same article where the boogeyman word AI of the movie studios was first and only mentioned, they announced in this that they were planning on launching the campaign during Gen Con 2023, which they did. That announcement came on April 24th, 2023, 99 days before Kickstarter would announce their AI policy. In April, they would have no idea about the upcoming new policy change. So no, they did not violate Kickstarter policy, and they did not force out their campaign to avoid that deadline. They just lucked out here. And they still chose to not disclose the use of AI because, well, they didn't have to. So you may have noticed at a few points throughout this video that they are actively looking for artists. It seems that the goal is to replace all of their AI art with real artwork. That's fantastic. So then why are you already talking about the next set? Nimue, your first set is not done yet. You are still selling people AI art. Your second set, the Fae, is that also just going to be more AI slop? Or are you going to have artists this time and your base set will just be left unfinished? Now, they planned on doing 250 cards in their initial release. I believe they ended up going with like a fair amount less than that, but it was still over 200. So of course the plan was to debut this card game and of course launch the Kickstarter at the same time at Gen Con in August of 2023. So I'm sure that they gave themselves plenty of time to find artists and get artwork done for their planned 250 cards before then, right? God, I look so pink. Well, this right here is the first post I can find for them looking for artists. August 28th, 2022. If you can't do the math, that's less than 1 year until they were going to go live. They're now more green than pink. Is that better? So maybe behind the scenes, they were already looking for artists more privately, right? Well, here is Bill DeVoe's Twitter, the founder and president of Nimue Studios. 3 days after that article went live on their site, this post was made on Twitter. So no, they gave themselves just shy of a year to make artwork for their planned 250 cards. Now look, I've never launched a card game before. Like maybe I'm just unaware, but this timeline sounds absurd to me. Maybe it's normal. I just have my doubts. So then what about Bill himself? Is he a scam artist just trying to steal your money? I honestly don't think so, personally. I found a lot of things on Bill, but I don't want to go sharing all of that out here. What I can tell you is that he seems to be a legitimately passionate person about tabletop games and games in general. This guy could walk circles around me about how to balance games on different understandings of board games and card games and tactics and all of these things. He could teach me more that I could learn on my own. Bill is a gamer. He's a nerd. He's exactly who you would expect and want to be behind a TCG project like this. I'm just theorizing here, but I don't think Bill was looking to rip people off, to scam people, or anything like that. Where I don't see AI, I see a decent game. The artists that they do hire do some fantastic work, and from what I can tell from those who have actually played the game, they greatly enjoy it. I think it's just a sad case of someone with genuine passion falling into the AI pit, taking a shortcut to bring their dream to market. So after all of this, I wanted to get in contact with Bill or anybody at Nimue Studios, and so I reached out to them by email. However, by the time you're seeing this video, it has been a fair amount over 2 weeks since I first made contact, and they have either chosen not to reply, or they're not keeping up with their official public-facing business email. You decide which one's more likely. My hope was to have a live chat with them, and to include that at the end of the video, completely uncut, so you could see their point of view on this. And hopefully, to have them admit, where they already did once in an article, but to have a verbal or even written confirmation that yes, they do use AI. My hope was to have that entire thing in here uncut, so you're not just relying on my research and my speculation. So this video, if you can't tell, was done pretty scrappy. My original plan was to set up the green screen and read off an entire script, and none of that felt necessary. This video is just giving info. I'm sorry it's not super pretty. Clearly I didn't calibrate my camera correctly. I've been having issues with it. I had a PC upgrade and it screwed up my software somehow, and I haven't fixed it yet. Not fully. So I'm sorry if you're a normal viewer of this channel and you're watching this video and like, what is this? This isn't what he normally does. It's not at all. But I covered Roundtable in that video, and I don't want to mislead my viewers. And part of that video, if you have not watched it, my Every TCG project, again, part 2 coming hopefully before the end of the year, we'll see. Takes a lot of time to do these things, and a lot of money, and potentially contacting card manufacturers. Well, I mentioned in that video, part of the idea was to sell you on the card game, was to give you a few facts about each game and to act almost like their marketing team for every card game that I covered, regardless if it's the card game I would actually want to play or not. And so Roundtable got the same treatment. And if I would have known about AI, that would have been mentioned. That would have been a thing in the video. And on that video, there's going to be a correction left after this, obviously. And if you're okay with it, right? I mean, there are obviously people who are going to be okay with it. I found examples of other card games that launched on Kickstarter that disclose the fact that they used AI. And while some of them have run into controversy, a number of them are still around and have a community around them. So I'm not here to say what your morals should be when it comes to the use of AI in this case. Let's go to a better looking scene. I'm not trying to say you have to boycott this game or you should ignore the use of AI. I'm not saying any of that. If the card game is good, it's good. If you're still interested in the card game, despite even the lack of AI disclosure, and you're okay with that fact, then go for it. I'm not here to tell you what you can and cannot do. I'm actually very interested to see your guys' opinions on this. Personally, would I be financially supporting them? No. Now, if they disclose the use of AI, I'd be a lot more willing. Of course, anything that I covered on them, I would follow, I would start it off immediately with that AI disclosure. And I hope the best for the future of this card game. It does seem very interesting. I like the theme that they're going for. I hope that they start being transparent and that literally, like, if anywhere you can buy it on their Square site and on their eBay especially, in your face, some of these cards are made using AI. About 55% of them are made using AI. You can even say it's temporary, it's a placeholder, but don't just use the word placeholder because you know what you're doing. You're trying to not use the scary 2 letters AI. Because their goal is actually to search for these artists and understand they have a lot of artists under their belt. They have a lot of cards done by a lot of artists, and some of the work is fantastic. And if their goal is to have all of their cards like that, then that's good. And if it takes, doing placeholder art to sell the cards, to try and get more eyes on it, or try and find more artists, go for it. But maybe just, like I said, do a little scribble. Have a little watermark that says, your art here. Something like that. Anyways, again, this isn't the kind of thing that I normally do on this channel, but one thing that I do on this channel, is I stay transparent, and if I feel like a correction needs to be made, then I make a correction. So that's what this video is here to serve. But if you like Pokemon content, that's my primary thing. If you can't tell by this funny guy right back here, then feel free to hit the subscribe button. I'm sorry for the serious tone. Hopefully, after this, there'll be another just normal video for the channel. This just felt like something that I needed to do. So again, to Bill and the rest of and I'm probably saying your company name wrong this entire video, but to Bill and the rest of the Nimue Innovation Studios team, I genuinely, I'm not hoping something bad happens to your card game. I'm hoping that you succeed, but I'm hoping that you succeed with transparency and that you do it with AI disclosure. If I buy a pack and there's a single chance that I can pull another Thomas, or I don't know how to say his name, but another one of this guy, or this one. This is all from one pack. That one. If there's a chance I can pull those, it needs to be on the pack, man. It needs to be on the pack itself. Like, there needs to be an upfront disclosure. Stuff like this, that's neat to me. And some of these cards from actual artists, okay, well, green screen's kind of messing it up, have fantastic artwork. I hope that we get to see more of it. Oh god, I still have to shout out YouTube members. So again, if you guys enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, all that fun stuff. A massive shout out to my YouTube channel members: Pokey Hoarder J, Obsidian, Smokey of the Sun, Andrew B, Bod, Reed, Katie Huff 21, Lana C, Kiss of Ember, Air, Generous Pokemon, Lycan, Carr, Ava, Anthony, Reese, Billy Wilma, Obsidian Panther, Ineffable, Lime Kiwi, Andrew Mesquita, Grossi Blackwell, Aquamarina 369, Cold Drip Gaming, Crispy Demon Duck, Spiral Vertigo, Wanda Bread, Shadow Family 15, Thomas Mancini Brewster, Goaty, Ugor, Shea Blancett, and 12 Glock 1. Thank you guys very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see all of you next time. Goodbye for now.